And we're live. I think we're live. It's usually pretty chill on a Sunday, and I don't expect anyone to show up, but it's okay. Because we'll delete it later. Oh shoot. We got someone. What up? What up? How's your Sunday, KG? You might be the first and only. Magic. What up, everyone? Happy Sunday. How was everyone's weekend? Yeah, I mean, it was good. Just chilled out, relaxed, kept it pretty low key. I got my second shot, so I am fully vaccinated, which is awesome. I thought I would be a little sick, but no problems. Let's go. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know. If you guys want the cooler person called Kenny Gunderman on the show, let me know too, and I'll make a request. Yo, low-key honest, I was kind of confused when you said contract work. But this makes a lot more sense now. Straight up, I was so confused. I didn't want to. I was debating if I should follow up and ask you, how's it feel working in the corn farms? Dude, seriously, I wish weekends are 3-day weekends, man. It's so tough. Is the volume okay, guys? Where am I from? I'm from New York City. Well, I live in New York City, but I'm originally from California. Yo, what up? What up? Is the music and the volume okay? I mean, I could try my best to adjust it, but I have no idea how. I think I'm at max peak right now for volume. Say hello to my mod. Actually, I don't think he's a mod in YouTube. I don't know how mods work in YouTube, but maybe one day I'll figure that out. What's up, DJ Norris? Any fun weekend projects, everyone? Anyone? I just made a YouTube video. Well, actually, I didn't make it. I edited one that I made a few weeks ago that I forgot about. But it should come out Tuesday. It might be a little boring, though. It's a coding bootcamp review. So we'll see. It's definitely not as fun as my coding phase one. That one, those ones take a lot more work, for sure. What's the software you're using for your mic? There's no software. It's just literally just connected to my Focusrite, and then that's connected through a USB. And then I'm just using StreamYard for the live stream. Yeah, React is really nice. What did you know? Did you know a framework beforehand, or is it just vanilla JavaScript? I'll definitely go with Cholula. Am I in the wrong here? Everyone, you guys gotta let me know. I'm on the wrong here. I wish. How do you? Can you do polls here? 1 for Cholula, 2 for Frank's Red Hot. I'll start off. Trying to set up Twitter API for one of my portfolio projects. Nice. Let me know how that's going. I think you need a developer account for that one too, right? So we'll see how that one goes. Currently working on a Laravel and React Native project. Wow, that's awesome. I actually don't even really know how to use Laravel, and I haven't really touched React Native too much lately, so I'd be curious. Yes, if you guys haven't seen my latest video with Stephanie, I highly recommend it if you are job seeking, because she brought in so much good advice, so much information. It was amazing. And funny enough, those videos probably don't do the best, but weirdly enough, those videos have the best information. Like, don't take advice from me. Don't take advice from Kenny. We don't we don't know as much as some of these professionals do. And the way she just approached LinkedIn, resume and portfolio, just the whole shebang, like the importance of networking and commenting on people's profiles and how to get a hold of recruiters, is just night and day. And I'm not saying that like the advice we give is wrong, but there are definitely people in the industry that are recruiters that aren't developers, and vice versa. So I'm taking a slight shade at Kenny, but no, it really is. It's not meant to be a shade. It's just more. It's just emphasizing how much she actually knows, and it was just really great to hear from her perspective as a career coach and whatnot. I might add more recruiters during these shows, because there's a lot more value in my opinion, for those that are job seekers. But if you guys find that boring, then maybe I'll switch it up and do something else. But let me know. I'll be curious. 2 banned. 2 banned. All right, you can stay. Yes. Hands down. Just made an account. Yeah, good luck on that one. I think that should be a fun project to work on. Anything that uses like the Twitter API and whatever. I think I used it a little bit long time ago, but not really anymore. So when I first learned how to do HTML and CSS, I probably wasn't the best at it at all. If anything, those were probably my worst parts of programming, because my coding bootcamp, it really skipped a lot about the HTML and CSS. They just kind of went straight into like learning Ruby and Ruby on Rails. And my CSS was so bad. The only way I got really good or decent at CSS was at my first job. And I was working at an agency. And when you work at an agency, you work on many different projects, whether it's back end, front end, whatever. And this project that I was working on, we were working with this company that already built out the whole application, but they didn't style anything. It was just like the input fields just like look like regular input fields. It was in probably like some Times New Roman or Cosmic Sans font, and all they had were designs, and they were just saying, "Can you turn our Angular app into this?" And it was so weird to see such a functional app have no styling. And literally for a month and a half, all I did was do CSS and Sass, and that's how I got better. It's so mind-boggling to me to see an application that had no styles. It was really cool, but at the same time, so weird. So that's how I learned CSS. And that's how I actually got to enjoy more front-end development. And actually, that's how I started to get an opinion about CSS and coding in general. So that's kind of why front-end was my thing. If you guys aren't following Kenny Gunderman's channel, I highly recommend it. A lot of good content related to a humor aspect of coding. Just overall, how would you summarize your channel? I don't think we ever figured that out, what your channel is about. But obviously people love following it, so definitely follow his channel. Every year Dodgers will win with the amount of money that they always pump in. I think we're in a good spot. I thought my Nightbot would be able to send some messages, but it looks like he's being a little lazy right now. I'll figure that out later. How did you get your current job? Just applying or networking? My current job, I started. How did I get my current job? Oh, I got reached out. But I also was on hire.com, and I have a little referral link on my description. It's they're pretty selective about who they pick, but hire.com has always been my go-to whenever I started looking for new jobs. One thing I really like about it is that if you get in, the companies reach out to you and they already tell you what salary they're willing to pay. So that way there's no, I don't know, when you're looking for jobs, it's a lot more effort and you don't really know exactly what you want. But when companies contact you and they already tell you what they're going to pay you and maybe what type of equity they're going to give you, it just makes the conversation a lot easier and you could just focus on the job application itself. So I was using hire.com. I used AngelList, and then I reached out to a few recruiters, but mostly it was through hire.com. I didn't get a job through there, and they actually contacted me through AngelList, which was kind of surprising because I hadn't updated my profile on that for a while. But hey, some things just work out nicely. Yeah, I mean, I'm a front end developer at my company, and we are considered developers. There's a lot more aspects to it than just HTML, CSS, and styling. You also have to think about application state, Webpack, bundling, minifying, uglifying, JS. All of these things is part of front end development. So it's actually more complicated than what it used to be. And there are other things that you could even think about, like single page application, server-side rendering, different types of builds. All of these things are now kind of encompassed within front-end development, which I think is pretty cool because, not gonna lie, just fetching for API, getting data, and then styling it all the time, it's not the most exciting thing to do. It is really cool to see a design turn into something in real life, but yeah, I don't know. Doing that for probably 20, 30 plus years might be a little bit of a pain in the butt. So it's really cool to see ways you can optimize your application to make it a little bit faster, make your bundle smaller, and all of that. I've been to a Yankees game. That was super fun. That was 2 years ago. I really want to go to a Knicks game though, but I actually went to a Giants game too, a New York Giants game. That was super fun. But the Knicks game is something that I haven't gone to yet, which I plan on doing soon. What's one of the most difficult projects or tasks you've had to complete for a project during your career so far? A lot of the most complicated or difficult projects were the ones where I've had to do a lot of DOM manipulation, and that's requires calculations of height and width and checking for like repeatability patterns on, well, this specific project, they had to deal with like colorways and patterns and designs, so like relate to like fabric, and kind of try and display that onto a browser. And to me, that's not your simple just make a form, submit a form. You actually had to calculate the height and width of a image and then somehow translate that into like a full-blown image. How do I even describe this? Basically, it was just like a piece of a fabric that had to be multiplied by like 50, 60 times to make this into like a full-blown fabric. And in those situations, it's like I would say those are like more of the complicated stuff when you have to recalculate height and width and do all of these like complicated logics to make sure the rendering of whatever you want to show to the user is not very clear. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering what I was saying, but that's how you know it was like a complicated project, because it's really hard to even explain. But generally, those type of projects are pretty hard. Another type of project that's hard is like when you I've had to deal with like data migrations. So the backend team decided to change how an API comes out, but our front end app has kind of been built around with this expectation that the data will look this way, and it requires a big overhaul. And generally, we kind of have to decide, like, do you want to build a completely new app, or do you want to refactor the current one to account for all of these new changes that the backend team is doing? So those two types of projects are generally the hardest, when you have to deal with like data changes from the backend on like a really old application and whatnot. What is your take on a CS degree? Is it necessary? I guess it's a loaded question. I personally don't think it's necessary, but having a degree could only help, if that makes sense. Especially if you want to get into Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google. Having a computer science degree can really help you get that first job as a FANG developer. But if you're looking into startups and whatnot, the self-taught route is possible. It's just really hard to get into those big companies without a computer science degree initially. You kind of have to work your way up. So I think the computer science degree can only be helpful, but I don't think it's necessary. Hopefully that helps. I mean, there's so many free resources out there now that you could learn how to code if you want to. And even the algorithm stuff, it's something that's learnable, not necessarily you have to go to school just to learn. So hopefully that helps. Maybe I should, before I do a live stream next time, maybe I should have a topic to talk about, because actually, I am curious. How much do you all know about GitHub version control? Because I was doing a little bit of research, and I am thinking about making a course on version control. I feel like I haven't really taken I've never taken someone else's course on Git and GitHub, because I never had to, but I feel like I know a lot about it. I'm wondering, is it something that a lot of new developers struggle with when they first join a job, or maybe even when they're self-taught and learning? Let me know. Maybe I'll make a course on that. That'll be my first ever course. That's gonna take me like 6 months to make, probably. How bad is ageism in tech? I don't think, not that bad. Honestly, I have no idea how old anybody is at my company or at previous companies before, and it's never been an issue for me. I think ageism is legal, so. When to start applying for a job? Apply now. Why don't you feel ready? Do you not have projects? Actually, I saw on a free codecamp forum that this guy was saying how he has all of these free codecamp certificates, but he still can't seem to find a job. And this might be a topic that I'm going to be talking about. Are certificates useless? I think something like AWS certificates are very helpful to have, but no offense to free codecamp and these certificates, but what does that prove? It proves that you just finished the course, right? What you do with the knowledge that you learn from the course is actually what's important, because No interview is going to just revolve around, oh, how many certificates have you done? They're going to actually test you on your skills, right? So it's cool to see a certificate of completion and whatever and making you feel better. But at the end of the day, if you don't do anything with those certificates, then no one's going to want to hire you because they don't know how good you are. They don't know what projects you've built. Everything is so important in terms of the output. But yeah, 7 certificates or 6 certificates from Free Code Camp, even for me, I would just be like, cool, bro. What else you got? So I'm not sure what you feel like you're not ready, but if you have your projects and your portfolio all decked out, maybe that would be a good time to start applying. I would highly recommend you to watch my last video with Stephanie about how to do the LinkedIn networking, how to do the email and portfolio optimizations, resumes. All of that is super important for applying to jobs. And make sure you are confident if you do get those interviews to highlight your skills and not necessarily say, oh, I'm a self-taught developer, so I don't know as much as a computer science. Like, that's kind of shooting yourself in the foot. So it's all about it's all about how you control the narrative, and that's, to me, that's really important, especially when you get to that interview process. Also, I've been hobby programming, thinking of making the jump, but I'm 40 something. Go for it. I think I think as we get older, we tend to be, to a fault, more realistic about certain things. And when I say that, is maybe it's more pessimistic, where we just create these walls of reasons why we can't do certain things. But when you're young, you have this kind of like ignorance is bliss mindset that you could do anything you put your mind to. And maybe we are more realist as we get older, but that's also could be a hindrance to ourselves. And I would say, like, have that young learning spirit, regardless of how old you are. And what's the worst that can happen if you take the jump and learn how to code? Yeah, you might fail, but at least you tried. But if you keep dwelling on this idea that, oh, I'm too old, or I'm not sure if this is for me, without ever trying, I don't know. For me personally, I would say I rather be in a position where I said I tried and failed than never try at all. So yeah, take the jump. What are some tips you have for a new person about to dive into web development? Don't treat it like a course. Don't treat it like a class. Yes, you have to learn the concepts and whatnot, but don't treat it like you're in a classroom where I have to get an A and then I'll just take another course and I have to get an A on that. I'll have to take another course, I'll get an A on that. And then you're like, okay, I am now ready to be a software engineer. You actually have to take what you learn and apply it to something. And what I mean by that is you have to build something, build your own projects, go through the grind and struggle of trying to build something tangible that you come up with yourself. And this is kind of alluding to the whole certification free code camp issue that I was kind of talking about before. Was you can't just assume that someone's going to give you a job based on the classes you've taken. You have to actually have the tangible skills to help that company succeed, right? So I think coding is one of those, or being a software engineer, for at least the interview process, it's one of those things I love and hate about it, in a sense that they test your skills, not what you've claimed to have learned. You can't kind of BS your way into this saying like, oh, I'm a hard worker and I'll do my best and bring value to your company. And they're like, oh, cool, good job. All right, so can you try to do this problem here? And we want to see how you actually solve problems. Like, the classroom is a area where you're going to be able to learn, but what you do with it is really important. Yeah, I mean, we all have those blockers in our mind, but at the same time, you gotta overcome those fears. Otherwise, yeah, you're your own worst enemy, and you're your own limiting factor at that point, right? So Yes. Because good projects will just translate into good skills, right? So it's good skills plus soft skills equals ticket to get a job. But how do you show those good skills? Is through good projects. It's a little. There's no. I could say it in so many different ways, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing, right? You got to show that you have skills, and the soft skills will just be a plus, especially for junior developers. I think a company shouldn't expect you to save their company or save the world. If you show that ambition and you could just show them slightly that you know how to code, they may be paying you at a discount or like at a lower rate, but for them, they're taking a risk on you, and you are trying to prove to them that it is worth the risk of training you potentially, or assigning you to tasks that may not be the most sexiest thing in the world, but they could trust you to do it eventually. So it's like this give and take where they may not pay you as much, but at the same time, you're investing in yourself at that moment, maybe the first year of really upping your skills and then moving on to another company or demanding more pay at the current job. Like when I first started off, I wasn't making like 100K or anything like that. But it's this gradual process of the skills will justify the pay. And I still believe to this day that's true. Young learning spirit. Yeah, yeah. It's crazy because it's at least the generation now after even mine, they're always trying to save the world and trying to do all these things. But sometimes I think in that generation, they kind of lose consistency, and there's so many different things to do. You don't know where to spend your time on. So a lot of times in that sense, nothing gets done. I think that's another thing is people don't know how to focus on a single task or focus on, if anything, they focus on too many different tasks. And then 5 years later, 4 years later, you're like, oh, what have I actually accomplished? Not much. Even if it feels like it's out of your league, I think you should definitely embrace it and just ask for help, because there's nothing wrong with saying that I don't know how to do this. Don't, if anything, what senior developers or even mid-level developers get annoyed about is you junior developers not communicating that they're struggling. So it's been a week and then you're literally stuck on something that could get solved in like 20 minutes, right? Just asking for help is not an issue. What I highly recommend you to do is not just say, I don't know what I'm doing and waving your hands up and hoping for the best. Try to explain to your mid or senior level developer what you try to do to get this working. Oh, so I couldn't understand why this thing wasn't outputting. So I tried this function XYZ and I console log this output here and it's not showing up. So I'm not really sure what's going on here, but can you like help me figure out why this isn't working? At least from that point of view, the mid or senior level developer knows that you've tried to actually solve the problem instead of you just kind of sitting there doing nothing and twiddling your thumbs and just hoping that someone will eventually help you. There's nothing wrong with not being able to figure it out as long as you tried and you show that you've tried. So be more proactive about those kind of scenarios where it's okay to ask for help. Just show that show that you've done the work to at least make an effort to like meet me halfway, and then we'll like figure it out together. Hopefully that helped. Hey, I'm starting a community college class this summer, either Java, C++. If I'm successful, should I study abroad in Europe to do a transfer to a state school or self-study? Thanks, I have 50K saved. If I am successful, should I study abroad in Europe? Do I transfer or self-study? That's a really good question. It's up to you. It's really up to you. I don't really know what the best route is for you. It depends on what you're trying to learn, and I mean, I personally enjoyed college a lot when I went, but it is all virtual at the moment, so I'm not really sure. It really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. I know some people that haven't gone to college and became software engineers. Everyone has their own path. First of all, congratulations on getting 50K saved. That's a lot of money, and um, you could do a lot with that in terms of whatever direction you decide. Obviously, college is going to be a lot more expensive. Self-study might be cheaper, but you might not have a community. Coding bootcamp could be an option as well, although it's all virtual too. So you got to weigh your pros and cons of what you want to get out of the next few years out of your life and figure that out. Who knows? Maybe after the Java and C++ class, you'll be able to get an internship or something right after, and maybe you don't even have to go to any of those three options that you mentioned. Anything is really possible at this point. So definitely just embrace the Java or C++ class at your community college, and then see if you actually enjoy it, and then maybe figure it out from there. But you don't need to decide that now. I think all three. I don't really know too much about the Europe option, but I mean, I don't think you can go real wrong either way. Great question. Can you tell us the difficulties a junior dev may face in his first job? Yeah, looking at a production based why can't I say this right? Looking at a production level code base is going to feel super daunting, especially because if you've came from like a coding bootcamp or just built your own projects. I'm just going to talk about this from like a Rails perspective. You're probably only going to do maybe like 3-4 models, but a production level code base could do like 20 models and like a crap ton of controllers, and all of these like helper functions will exist. So you're going to be really, really swarmed with a bunch of code that you've never like experienced before in your life. And then you're going to get major imposter syndromes. So I can only assume if you actually care about your job is that you're going to spend some late nights trying to understand everything, but everything's going to take some time. And another thing that I would say juniors probably struggle with is not, like I said before, not asking for help and not trying to put the effort to figure it out first. What else can a junior developer struggle with? Code reviews, depending on the type of mid to senior level developers you work with. Hopefully you have some good ones where they're nice about it and they kind of ask you about what you were thinking when you put in a code review. But if you have some bad ones, they could really eat up your code and say, why did you do this? Why did you do that? This makes no sense. And you kind of need to have some thick skin. I'm not saying that what they're saying is right. And if anything, we need to be more empathetic with everyone. But sometimes code reviews can get a little heated if done incorrectly. What else is there as junior developers? I'll think about this one. Maybe this is a topic that I will make a dedicated video for, because that is actually a great question. But at least hopefully I answered a few. I gave you a few of them that I personally went through when I was a junior developer. And yeah, it's okay though. You'll get past it. Learning C# or Python is more useful. Depends on what you want to do. From my understanding, Python has been pretty popular in the data science realm, and C# you could build full-fledged web applications. And not that you can't do it on Python, but I'd say what's more important is to learn a single language really well, and then you could just translate to another one. Yeah, no problem. Hopefully that was helpful. I personally really enjoyed, like I said, I personally really enjoyed college, and it was a great experience for me. I met a lot of great friends, and I think that sometimes that's pretty underrated, and especially right now, what's I don't know. Everyone's just trying to become the next Mark Zuckerberg or the next Elon at like age 18, 19, 20, right? But I think at that age, if you're a young college kid, you should just enjoy being a kid for a bit, and then you'll start working. And I've been working for over like 10, 11, 12 years now. Sometimes I just miss just not having to work and just chilling out and going to classes. It's really fun. So, yeah. CS Masters. Hmm. It all depends, right? I don't think you need a master's to become a web developer or what at all, actually. So I feel like if you're trying to do some low level stuff, maybe a CS Masters can be helpful. But for web development, everything is online and available. So there's no real benefit for a CS Masters if you're thinking strictly in like web technologies. But maybe you're doing something that's really like requires a master's and requires some in-depth like coding that I may not be thinking about. So that's my 2 cents. I think that'd be a good video too. I actually took a screenshot of the question, and maybe I'll give him. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing it right. Hafed a shout out. Started making connections with develop. What do you suggest would be the best approach to gain from these connections for possible internships? Yeah. So I think the relationship has to be genuine, first of all. And again, watch the video with Stephanie because she kind of goes in depth about how to properly network. Highly recommend you to watch the video. It's about 50 minutes long, but there's just so many good nuggets of information there. But yeah, the internship there. I mean, you once you start commenting on whatever they're posting and whatnot, and really gaining that relationship, then you can start asking, "Hey, I'm starting to look for a job. This is my portfolio. This is my resume. These are the projects I've been working on. Is there something at your company that could fit my skills?" And that you could have like those kind of honest conversations once you built the relationships with them. But make sure the relationships you're building are genuine, not just purely transactional. And that's something that Stephanie also goes over as well. I think one thing that she did mention that is very underrated, at least in the developer community, is being active on LinkedIn, and specifically like LinkedIn's social aspects of it. I think for us as developers, we're so active on Twitter, we're so active on dev.to or free code camp, but we don't put a lot of emphasis on the LinkedIn aspect. And the reason why we don't do that is because as developers, we don't think that's cool, right? But if you think about it, how you get a job is through recruiters, and recruiters are on LinkedIn. So why aren't you interacting with recruiters? Developers are developers. Their job, everyday job, isn't to find you a job. Their job is to actually write code and do work. So yeah, they could give you a referral, but I think the recruiter's job is to actually find you a job, and you probably want to get to know those people a lot better, to be honest. Yeah, no problem. No problem. This chair is so low. I actually got a new chair, an autonomous chair, but it's still in its box right now. And I'm just so lazy that I haven't had time to open it and actually use it. But I think I got this chair. I'll show you guys really quickly. Share screen. Yeah, I got this chair here, the Ergo Chair Core. Honestly, it looks pretty legit. I don't know, my back's been hurting like crazy lately, so I think this chair will be pretty nice. I can't remember if I got the black or gray one though. What do you guys think? My other chair before this one didn't even have like arm handles. It was just literally just sitting like this. I'm really excited about this footrest here. And also this head. Right now I don't have anything. So I don't I'm thinking maybe I should make a review on this, but we'll see. I should really make the chair. Yeah, I wonder how good it is too. We'll see. Kenny Gunderman. Any new videos about to come out this week, Kenny? I actually went out and took a. Oh, you just posted one? I'm curious. Self-taught programmers, listen up. Sponsored by NordVPN. I could only assume based on the preview video. Some YouTubers say they make $500,000. Do you think web developers can make all that money? Yeah, it's possible, but not normal. You'd have to be pretty. I mean, that's not even like base salary. That's including like stock options and all of that stuff together. But I'd say it's probably on the rarer side to be making that much. If you're comparing like the whole industry of people that are software developers, there's no way like a startup can pay an individual that much. It's too much. If anything, they're going to give you stock options that are worthless until they become actually worth something. But yeah. Wait, are you saying YouTuber as in like YouTube only doing YouTube? Or are you talking about developers? Because I actually I don't really know how much YouTubers make. My channel's not even monetized. I don't have enough watch hours. So if you guys want to, support my channel, make sure to watch all my videos, and so I could make that $2 a month on my YouTube channel. That's why he's the GOAT. Yo. What do you think companies that hire for more advanced front-end component-based are looking for as opposed to like theming and other basics? Yeah, so at least for front-end, you have to know like front-end system design. And what I mean by that is kind of the stuff that you were talking about a little bit, like component-based and state management. but you should also think about how do you optimize your web application so that it's performant. And what I mean by that is also like how do you handle different network speeds, like if they're on mobile versus web with like fast speeds. How do you think about uglifying your code to make sure it's a very minimum size? Do you do like bundle splitting and lazy loading so that when the user is using your application, they're only loading specific files because they're on that specific page rather than downloading that whole asset at once? What else is there? Like gzipping versus Broadle, like all of these little things as a front end developer that's more advanced. I would say those are the things that you need to start considering. Even like making like really understanding how web works when you're making an API request is also good. So talking about like the headers and the payload and understanding those intricacies as a front end developer is really important when you're going for like those higher level positions. And generally in like system design, they're gonna probably test you on like how would you save. Maybe they'll give you like a scenario of you fetching data and you have to present it, and like how would you keep that state management in your front end application and all of that. So there's just like these myriad of things that you have to think about as a front end developer beyond just like display flex, align center, justify content center. Yay, like the optimizations, performance, I would say those two are what a lot of front end developers that are kind of like in the junior mid are lacking when they want to become seniors. Hopefully that helped. Yeah, exactly. Web developers. So yeah, I mean, that's a lot of money. So they must be doing something right, but those are pretty rare, I would say. And that shouldn't be a norm. At work, does your code have to meet performance budgets before being approved? Not always, but it's something good to think about. Where would you learn the stuff you're talking about? I mostly Google, and working with other front-end developers have definitely upped my game to think about these things. Just Google what I said, like Broadle, gzip, and you'll get to fully understand what the heck that is, first of all, and then figure that part out. It's not some like magic class that I took. It's just through experience I was able to think about these things because I've been working in the front end for as long as I have. Sometimes I get bored of just doing the same thing over and over again, and I'm like, okay, like how do I optimize this? And sometimes my old CTO will say like, hey, this bundle size is huge, like how do we reduce this? And I'll be like, okay, let me look into it. Google is your best friend. Is full stack project or full stack knowledge required to get a React front? Sorry about that. I think understanding how the backend works, and when I say that, I mean you don't need to know how to write the API and whatever like that. You just have to know that as a front-end developer, you are making API requests, and you can have a conversation with the backend developer. I think if you're starting off, you should have some familiarity of how to make an API, because that way the conversation that you have with them will be so much easier. You may not have to do this on a daily basis, but even for me, I've went through that like process of learning backend development. So whenever I do talk to a backend developer, we can actually have a normal conversation that, yeah, I may not do this every day, but at least I can understand why you're doing what you're doing. And maybe I could even push back and say like, that's not worth it because of what we're experiencing on the front end. But if you don't know the back end at all, then it's really puts you at a hindrance. So I'd highly recommend you to at least get exposure to it. And then you could just say, okay, like I know, but I'm going to focus on what I want to get good at. Yes. I might get fired, but at least during the first year or first 6 months, I'll get paid. I'll probably even do it for like 2 million or 1 million. Also, go Lakers. How did you come up with the name Tech Rally? I have no idea. It wasn't anything that was clever or anything. I wanted to talk about tech stuff and coding stuff, but at the same time, in case I wanted to not talk about code anymore, I could still talk about tech. That's why I kept it as Tech Rally, because I don't know. Obviously, coding is my thing, and that's what I enjoy. But just for some reason, I wanted to stop talking about coding, but still talk about tech. That's why I included the word tech. And then the rally part was just, I think a bunch of our friends, whenever we were getting like a little tired or we didn't want to go out, someone would be like, "Okay, guys, let's rally," and then I just put two and two together, and then it became Tech Rally. I wish I had a cooler story, to be honest, but I've kind of stuck with it. I was debating to change it to my name, like Kenny Gunderman here, but my name is so common that it might not be a great one to have as a YouTube channel. So I just kept it as Tech Rally. It's a brand, and who knows, maybe if my channel gets big enough, like I don't have to always be the one on video, right? Because Tech Rally is just a brand. It's not me technically. So who knows? Maybe we can kind of have other people on this channel in the future, and they could just represent the brand as we go. Hi, has PHP got... I believe so. I think PHP is still pretty popular. It may not be the sexiest language in the world, but there's a lot of old technologies that companies that still use it, the technology, and they need to maintain it. If I was starting over and someone offered me a PHP job and I've been looking for like a year plus and I haven't gotten anything, I would take it. And then you could just move on to something else after. How is it a scam? I have no idea. If they ask you for money, I don't know. I've never really had like scam emails, but I would assume they would be scam-ish if they're asking you to pay for something, which I highly discourage you from doing. That's weird. Like your address and everything? That's kind of odd. I mean, maybe that's how you know they're scamming you. I don't know. So yeah, I'll be careful about that. How did you come up with the name Dollar Slice? Are you from New York? Yeah, then obviously this is a scam. Like I would never give someone my social security number and address. Are you asking? Because you're asking me how to tell if a job is a real or not, a scam or not. Yeah, definitely. Don't give your social security or address. That's ridiculous. Can you get by never going deep into algorithms, or is it required some point to keep moving up? If you're gonna apply to Fang, you're gonna have to know data structures and algorithms. Or big tech. You're gonna have to know it, regardless of front end or back end. And it's just good practice. But if you're gonna be in the startup environment, you may be able to slide not having to know them, because they might not be as strict about it. So up to you to decide how deeply you want to know about data structures and algorithms, depending on the type of company you want to work at. but I don't really like study data structures and algorithms while I'm working now. I think generally it's been something I've been doing when I'm like applying to jobs and whatever. What about .NET? Has it got great job prospects compared to PHP? I think both have pretty good job prospects from my understanding of it. And lastly, would you recommend Shopify development? Depends on what you want to do with it. From my understanding of it, you could kind of like start your own business or your own side hustle by selling Shopify themes and whatnot. But I personally haven't dove too much into it. I just haven't had time. But from my understanding, I mean, if you've seen the Shopify stock, it's been going up, up, up. And obviously people are, trying to be entrepreneurs and whatever, but they're not software developers. And they have to rely on themes and someone to like create all of that stuff. So there definitely is a demand for it. It's just a different type of coding in my perspective. But at the same time, it's very similar enough where it's translatable. So now up to you with what you want to do with it. If you apply as a front-end engineer, do they typically test you data in JavaScript or do they expect? I think Java, it's just your language of choice. It doesn't have to. I mean, even front end, back end, you just do whatever you're comfortable in, and you'll be fine. And if they make you choose a language, that's a little weird. Leak code. That's what I used. I know there's like Algo Expert, but I haven't really used that one. But it feels like a lot of YouTubers are sponsored by him, so maybe you could use Algo Expert. I really haven't used it. I used LeetCode for my last coding interview prep, and that's just because I had an interview with Amazon, and I just knew I had to know some data structures and algorithms, and it was just a great way for me to just easily look at problems and solve them. Code with Tommy. Hey, everyone follow Code with Tommy as well. If you're looking into learning Python and Django development, he's a super great resource. And I actually have done an interview with him as well. So make sure you follow Code with Tommy. He's getting pretty big. So definitely enjoy it. Watch his tutorials if you ever want to get into Python. West New York sounded better than dollar roasting. Or dollar hot dog. Yeah, I agree. I mean, even the emoji is pretty legit. Want to leak code and show? Yo, let's do it next week. It's just gonna be struggle. It's gonna be a struggle bus though, because I haven't done leak code in a while. Did you pay for leak? I did, just for that short period of time. I don't know if it really was worth it, to be honest, but I just thought it was worth the investment. And I forgot how much it was. Maybe like 25, 30 a month. But I only used it for 1 month and I canceled it after. And it wasn't that great, actually, now that I think about it, because the solutions are all available online through other platforms. I think it was just more out of, I was curious what I would get out of it. And since I already paid for the month, I just used it. How much React is enough to start applying for jobs? I'm guessing at least have a couple projects. Yep. I would even argue that you should have just really one good project and then maybe an okay second project, but don't make a bunch of like crappy projects, if that makes sense. I would rather have 2 good projects than 4 crappy projects. And so don't play the numbers game. It's better to have quality over quantity. Tech, right? What up? Yeah, it wasn't that great, especially because all the solutions, like I said, existed. I was very curious because they have this section on LeetCode where you could filter the questions based on the companies that you're interviewing at, like Amazon and whatever. So I tried using that, but there's no real difference as long as you can just look up the questions. They're all free. JavaScript. What up? What up? How's it going? Is the current standard in the industry to use class or function with hooks or a mixture? For any new applications, I would say they would be using functional components and hooks, but there's going to be legacy code that you're going to have to work with. And if they're using class-based, that's when you use class-based. But I would say the industry is definitely moving towards functional-based components with hooks with the use state, use effect, and whatnot. I rarely use class components anymore especially if I'm building a new project. So it's just that's just kind of the the way coding works sometimes. Like what used to be like a standard industry now is just a kind of obsolete way of using it. And I don't mean like obsolete as you can't do it, because there are companies that still use class-based components. At my old company, we still used it because we were still using an older version of React. So it's still possible. I just feel that the newer apps that are being created, I mean, even if you use Create React app, they just start off with functional based components. So I would just kind of focus on that more. Yeah, man, this is kind of like my way of relaxing a little bit, but hopefully I do need to do a little bit of prep as well. So I'll probably get off in the next like 30 minutes. But I'll see you later, dude. Vue.js, I like it, but it's not my favorite. I still like React better. And then I probably like Svelte after Vue. It's not my most favorite front-end framework. It kind of reminds me of Angular too much, and I'm not a huge fan of Angular. But to each their own. Oh, you don't need to cry. It's just another way to write code, man. It's not the end of the world. Code is code. You know, I'll be curious. What do you guys think of videos lately, or coding YouTubers? Like, what kind of content are you craving? Because I feel like sometimes a lot of my videos are a little bit all over the place, and I'm trying to figure out how to help y'all in this industry. And that's kind of why I made that one video with Stephanie, because even though she's not a software developer, I felt like she had a lot of great information that she could share to help you land that first job or land that next job in tech. So if you found those kind of videos useful, then I'll make more of those. But I'm just curious if that kind of content is not really what you guys are looking for. And I would love to just give more better content in general. So yeah, I'm always trying to learn, and my channel has been growing quite a bit relative to my own size, and I'm so happy that it is growing. But at the same time, I want to make sure I'm also providing a lot of value for all of you. That way I don't waste you guys' time with just meaningless dumb videos. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that, but I wasn't sure if it was a good to bring it up here. But I'm so glad that you have another interview lined up. That's awesome. And then you know what? It's okay. I failed many interviews, or I failed many potential prospects before. Just learn from the last one, and you only need that one yes. You should make a video all about the necessary React knowledge in order to break into that. Most channels, the people just repeat common knowledge. They don't the experience like you. They don't have the experience like me. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, maybe I could do that. Oh yeah, I like content like that. But do you mind making a? There are a lot of great tutorial YouTubers out there already. I'm not sure if me making a tutorial will be that beneficial, because even like Traversing Media, he just made a Next.js course on Udemy, I'm sure his content and his teaching style will be way better than mine. So I would love to, but maybe that's not my forte relatively to these other content creators. So you should definitely look at them first, and they have a lot of free content anyways. Yeah, most don't have the actual industry experience in React. So you do, so you can provide a lot. Yeah, I will. Yeah, maybe I'll create like a cheat sheet of some sort. That could be cool to have, like a PDF of things that you need to know as a front end developer, and not make it so crazy that no one would ever actually use it. So maybe I'll try to do something like that in the future, and I'll just give it out for free or something as like a PDF. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Originally, I was going to do some like email template of how to like contact recruiters, but if you guys care more about the tech part and how to become a better front end developer, then yeah, I'll do that. Cool. Yeah, I personally will like to see more videos about these jobs after, like, equal getting into the job is great, but also the fun one is getting better. Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm trying to figure out where my audience is and the experiences. Are you trying to land that first job, or are you trying to get that second job, or a mixture of both? Because going from first to second is very different from just trying to get your first. And sometimes it actually might be harder getting your second or third job, not because of the interview requests, but the type of questions they ask you, the expectation of what they think you should know, because you are now like an experienced developer. There's a like different types of levels to this game when you're interviewing, especially as you get more senior and senior. Well, I mean, it's still more or less the same thing though. How about a classic day in the life? Yeah, I'm thinking about it. My cinematography and camera quality stuff is not that great. I'm not like Christian or Kenny Gunderman, and they're really good at vlogging and doing that vlogging style. But I haven't gone into as much depth as them into like cameras and lenses and all of that stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like my vlogging or day in the life the quality will just be so low that even if it is cool, it might not be as nice as those people. Like, I don't have the nice B-roll. I don't have the like drone shots in my day in the life videos probably. So is it actually worth it for people to see that? And maybe not. I don't know. Also, I mean, like a lot of, yeah. If you guys are interested in that, maybe I'll look into it more. But yeah, I'll try to add more like my personal experience. If you see some of my older videos, I have some videos where like I travel to Connecticut or I go to Boston. I'm kind of vlogging with my iPhone camera, but nothing beyond that so far. So I'm in the video advertising team. No, I don't freelance. I don't have any little time I have outside of my work requires me to work on my YouTube channel. So I would say like your brain can, or your mental capacity can only take so much. And work is already pretty tough as is, because you're working 8 hours minimum per day. And then you need to take a break. And what you want to do with that is up to you. And for me, I've made a sole decision to focus on the Tech Rally brand, the YouTube channel, like working on my personal website for this and seeing where I can go from here. But yeah, no freelancing. I probably could make more money off freelancing, to be honest, because this YouTube channel isn't monetized yet because I don't have enough watch hours. So watch a lot of my videos, please, because it really helps me. No, I'm just kidding. Like, if you enjoy it, watch it, but you don't have to. But yeah, I think it's an upfront investment that I'm making on this YouTube channel, because I feel that it may not be making me money now, but it'll be worth the effort and investment down the future, hopefully. but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'd rather try and fail than not try at all. Some like Unreal tournament. Quake. All right, maybe later as the channel grows. Yeah, I think that would be cool. Definitely could leverage the Amazon brand a little bit more, but I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that, especially for you guys and girls who are watching. Like, I think I saw my statistics was like 2% of girls watching, but majority of you guys, I don't want to be like a FANG developer. I'm just a normal guy, man. Like, I didn't get into a great company right off the bat. I started working at a startup first, or I did a coding boot camp, and then I did a startup with 6 people, and then I joined another startup. And yeah, I mean, I worked for a long time before I joined like a big tech company. So I don't want to suddenly become this person known as just working at a large big tech company, right? I want to share my journey in a sense that I've had to work my way to get here. And I think that's the most important thing I want to kind of share with my audience. And I want my audience to be like those kind of people that kind of have to work their way up, right? And I want to provide value to you guys in that sense, not just like saying like, oh yeah, like you'll get this job in no, like so easily. I didn't have to think at all. I just breathe and I got a big tech job. I don't know if I made sense there, but hopefully it did. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of up to you to figure out as well. Like gauge your skills to the type of interviews you're having. And if you feel like you're not quite there yet, then you need to just kind of keep learning more and upping your level, because obviously it seems like there's might be a disconnect between your skills and what people are looking for your experience position. So whatever that is that you got to figure that part out. Maybe you need to get better at your CSS, or maybe you need to get better in your JavaScript. All of those things are like part of the game that you need to figure out and just reevaluate your career trajectory and from that point of view. Nice, just got a Twitter data log. Progress. I love console logs, man. That's the way to go. Yeah, it really is fun. I've never thought about video advertising at all, but it's a really fun industry to be in. Thank you. Maybe I'll get like a Tech Rally hat, and that way I don't have to wear this LA hat anymore. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with working at startups. Not gonna lie, even when I was looking for jobs, I was only looking at startups because that's kind of where I found comfort, and the vibe is a little bit different when you're working at a smaller company, right? So you might have to wear more hats. There might be a little bit more expectations, but that's all part of the fun as well. I don't know, man. I'm not a prodigy like you, Matthew. You gotta share your secrets on your own YouTube channel. Teach me. Yeah, appreciate it. Is 80K reasonable to expect from? Assuming I already have 1 year. Depends on where are you from? Excuse me. I think like 80K is pretty good. If it's your like second job, maybe like 80 to 90K could be good if you're living in New York City. But outside of New York City, I'd say that's pretty good. I like where I'm at. Now. Maybe I'll elaborate on that more in a future video. But so far, I mean, it's only been 2 months, and it's still a lot of learning on my end. And so far, it's been good. some ups, some downs, and I have to realize that I've only been here for 2 months, and sometimes I'm my own worst enemy, thinking that I need to do more, or I should know how to do more, but it's just one of those cases of imposter syndrome, or maybe just having this expectation of myself as an experienced hire to do more. But no, I'm really glad I'm here. It's really pushing myself to go above what I was kind of used to. And you have to keep in mind that I was at my startup for 5 years. So I got really used to the way things were running, and I got really used to the code base. But now I'm in like a completely new different code base, completely new different team, new people, everything. So yeah, on top of like training, you have to also figure out ways to contribute. So yeah, it's fun. It's really fun. I like it. Yeah. Do you do any backend work at your job? No, not too much backend at the moment, but I feel like this role will be quite flexible in both ways, even though my title says front end engineer, but we shall see. I have no idea. No. Okay, how do I fix this? Well, I'll fix that for next stream. Sorry about that. But if you want to join, I could just post it. Let's see. Never. Here you go, guys. Spending some time on CS, Reddit, and LeetCode seems to be their answer for getting. It seems weird that some people prioritize grinding LeetCode. Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you here, but there is something about doing these LeetCode preparations that really helped me gain perspective of not just being so gung ho and 100% on all my projects and work should speak for itself. The LeetCode is not even about the algorithms. It's about being able to solve questions when things get complicated or when you get thrown curveballs, right? Not every day you're gonna be just doing like fetch and then render and then create a form, and it's being a software developer. There might be situations where you're put in where sorry, let me rephrase that. There might be some times where you're put in situations where you're not familiar with it, right? And I think what LeetCode and the algorithms kind of provides you is the ability to problem solve and using code to do those problem solving situations. And that's kind of what I actually appreciated about doing those LeetCode problems, was that I was in the camp of like, I know what I'm doing. I do this every day. But what happens when you're thrown a wrench where you don't know how to solve it? Like, how would you kind of go through that thinking process of solving complicated problems that may not be super obvious to you right away? And that's what I took away from the LeetCode stuff. And to be honest, even with LeetCode, I didn't memorize or do every single problem. There were certain problems where I said, like, okay, I know that this is way too complicated. And if they ask me this, then I may not know how to do this then and there, but I'm going to try to talk it out and try to solve the problem. And that's what I was able to get the experience from and get better at, was being able to articulate my thoughts, figure out how to solve a problem, like write out how to approach the problem. Because sometimes people, they're just so quick to write code that they don't actually take the time to think before they write. And that's what I think LeetCode and all that data structure and algorithms can provide you with. Not just thinking strictly just, oh, data structures and algorithms. Hopefully that made sense. I think there's probably a lot of influx of junior level talent, but if you're an experienced developer and you are maintaining your skills, you'll be fine. What do you work with? Mac, PC, which browser, IDE? Oh, okay. I use Mac. Browser, I use Chrome or Firefox, depending on just like testing. And then IDE, I use Visual Studio. I leave them out. Because you want to highlight your best projects, not your worst. So, and no, not saying your first projects are your worst, but ideally you're getting better, right? So you want to highlight your best projects first, and then I won't even include them if they're that bad. Just keep it consistent with your, like, imagine if you go to, I don't know, an art show, right? Are you going to show all your bad pictures, or are you going to show all your great ones? I would focus on the good ones. Where can I learn about algorithms? Should I go to Algo Expert or get a course in college, or do you recommend the platform? Well, I think my friend took this course on Udemy. Does Colt Steel have an algorithm course? I can't remember. Someone has an algorithm course. Yes, Colt Steel has an algorithm course. And if you really don't know anything about algorithms, maybe you could start off there, just so you could like understand like O of n squared, all that stuff. And then you could move on to like LeetCode or Algo Expert. I have no idea afterwards. I use LeetCode. Some people use Algo Expert. So I also feel sometimes that very soon jobs will come before I get really good and stuff. Like, what are your thoughts? I think it's possible that a lot of junior developers will exist and whatnot, but no, you'll be fine. And just, I mean, that's just your own fear preventing you from actually working and doing things, right? Like people say that YouTube is oversaturated and I shouldn't do YouTube, but here I am now, right? You just got to put in the work and you'll kind of like stick out. Actually, I'm going to make a video about this, I think Bill Gates talks about like 10,000 hours or whatever. And it's not about someone putting in 10,000 hours at once. It's about, imagine you're like racing with a bunch of people and then you put in 50 hours and then some people are just saying, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. So those people leave, and then you do another 50 hours, then those people leave, and then another 50 hours and those people leave. And it's just basically, it's not about being the best. It's about being consistent, right? So this is just your own fear. You're already making up excuses of why you're not going to do it. And that's why you're not doing it, right? But you won't know unless you've actually tried. So it doesn't even this question, I get your point, but I wouldn't use that as an excuse to not do it. I think it's Colt Steel. Let's see. I mean, I will look up Traversy Media's YouTube channel for the free. I think he does like crash courses. But I actually like, if you're going to learn React and stuff, I actually recommend Stephen Grider. He's a really good teacher. But yeah, I'm going to have to head out in a few minutes. But any last minute questions, y'all? Hopefully this was helpful. Yeah. But I mean, to this point, I don't want you to feel like giving up before you even started, right? And the reason why I was comparing it to my YouTube channel was because literally everyone says everyone starts a YouTube channel, it's oversaturated. Why even try? Why even try? But that's the worst way to approach it. Just do it because if this is something you want to do and something you want to commit to, if you're able to persevere and just beat out those people that are so easy to give up, just don't be those people that give up. Just keep going, right? And that's kind of what I do with my channel. Even though I may not be like Dorian who has 18,000. I may not be Kenny who has 30,000. I might not be Christian who has 60, 70, 80,000. I may not be Coding Phase who has 70,000. It's okay. I do my own thing. I stay in my lane and I know my progress will be my own progress, right? But you shouldn't, just because those guys are doing so well and I'm not, doesn't mean that I should give up, right? We just gotta do what makes you happy and do what, where do you want to go with this? And if you see that light at the end of the tunnel of what you want to accomplish, then go for it. But don't let other people or like just consider like oversaturation be an issue of why you shouldn't do it. Yeah, he also has a good data structures algo course as well. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. I mean, I don't. To be honest, I don't want to be this positive only mentor kind of thing. But I think one thing that I want to say is I want to show you both sides of it. It's not easy, so you got to put in the work, right? But I don't like having a defeatist mindset, and I'm not gonna say that everyone's gonna be successful either. But I think what not annoys me, but one thing that I just encourage you to do is not give up before you even start, or don't give up before you start, right? Like, see if you enjoy this, see if you like this. But if you're gonna say, oh well, like too many software engineers, oh no, well, front end development is oversaturated, oh, like back end I'm not making enough, like I don't know. It's by the time you've like spent hours thinking about that, I'm sure there's like 1,000 people that have done like 3 or 4 sections of free code camp by then. Yeah, I mean, I try to bring like a realistic thinking, not just positive. Advice for someone who's loyal to the first company who hired them just because the company gave them. I think that you have to show a little bit of appreciation, but don't feel like you have to be with them forever. I mean, I like to look at it from the point of view of how Netflix looks at their employees, which is like athletes. You're not family. You're just very well paid athletes. And likewise, you're well paid software developers, right? So the whole like concept of company and being a family is not something I believe in at all, because I've seen my friends get fired from companies, and family never fires. A family member will never fire you, right? They'll never just leave you in the dust when your like life depends on the money that you're making, right? So I think if anything, the only person that you should be loyal to is yourself first, and do what's best for you. And it's not personal. If you need to make more money and your company's not paying you more money and another company will pay you more money, then that's where you go, right? If you're not advancing in your career and they're not giving you a promotion, then you need to go somewhere else, right? It's okay. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. They're not going to hate you. And if they kind of give you crap for that, then maybe you don't want to be there in the first place. A company should be encouraged and happy for you that you're trying to progress in your career, not just stay stale. So I get the sentiment, but at a certain point, you just move on and do your thing. I think it's important. I've kind of changed my stance a little bit. I think projects are still more important than data structures and algorithms in the grand scheme of things, especially for beginning developers. But I think data structure and the algorithms helps you understand how to better solve complex problems. Exactly. I say it's better to leave before you get fired. All right, everyone. I actually have to go, but hopefully this time was really good. I really enjoyed answering all your questions. If you all want to join my Discord channel, it's this here, if you haven't already. And yeah, definitely follow some of those channels I mentioned: Code with Tommy, Kenny Gunderman, Coding After 30, Coding Phase. I assume you guys all follow them anyway already if you're already on this one, but if you're not, yeah, definitely follow them. Other than that, yeah, I'll see you guys later. Have a good night, everyone. Happy Sunday. Have a good week also. Bye.